October 8th, 2024. What is really going on with Hurricane Milton? This is the second major category hurricane to strike, curiously, another patriot state just 27 days before the U.S. election. It's interesting because now it's hitting Florida, which was one of the only states that resisted the lockdowns in 2020. It was actually considered a bastion of liberty, much like Arizona that you see behind me. When something big like this is happening and the mainstream media is blowing it up and they're reporting it on Fox News, which by the way is down, it's down today. I'll report on that. It looks like another hack is currently taking place. All live Fox News broadcasts this morning, according to Down Detector, were down. But typically when something like this is being broadcasted to the American public, there's something else that they don't want you paying attention to. And so the question is, what is it? Why would the mainstream media be obfuscating your perception of reality, focusing on these storms when something much bigger, I believe, is happening and going on in the background? Please like and share this video. I certainly appreciate it. It's another warm day. Aloha, brother. It is so good to have you here as a part of our live feed. Why isn't the mainstream media reporting on the fact that last week, when I produced a series of videos, that there were multiple hacks and cyber events taking place at once? How come Fox News and the mainstream media, along with CNN and MSNBC, aren't reporting more on the fact that the United States, one of their largest water companies, was hacked last week, jeopardizing potentially the water supply and billing and payment systems? How come no one has connected the dots that the cyber event has just begun and I believe is unraveling now and about to grow materially worse during World War III, of course, in the Middle East with Iran? Bank of America, for example, had all of its account balances at zero for an entire day on Thursday, the same day that Waterworks now admits all of its systems went down and were hacked. And they still don't know the implications of that affected multiple states in the dozen. And Verizon Wireless also had collapsed the same days and time with SOS help mode, of which no cellular service was working. And so I'm seeing a lot of people think critically, which I think is fantastic. I mean, it's the reason why I do what I do. I'm seeing a lot of memes. I'm seeing people on X. By the way, you should follow me at AMTV Media saying things like, well, is this weather warfare? Is this weather manipulation? Is there some kind of master plan? Is it the Pentagon? Is it the deep state? Is it the DOD manufacturing these events? I mean, after all, we know factually that they can cloud seed. We know with 100% degree of certainty that they're spraying our skies and our food and our water. They're fluoridating it and doing all other kinds of things with food, air quality. The list goes on and on. So that's wonderful that Americans are waking up to this. You even have congresswomen like Marjorie Greene suggesting that this was a modified weather weapon to hit Florida. Well, again, that's wonderful. That's great. But I believe it is only part of the equation. It's so hot today, this camera probably won't last long, so I'll try to be succinct in my presentation. Here's my question. If that really has been revealed, if the American people are awake enough now that they've confirmed that this is a weather weapon to, let's say, interfere with the election, let's just say that is true. Let's say that this really has been launched either by an enemy nation state or the U.S. government itself in an inside job. If they've actually done that and Americans have come to terms that, yes, these are targeted events, my question is, what are you going to do about it? Like, I'm being serious. Like, even if it's confirmed, what are you going to do? Like, are the American people going to knock on the door of the Department of Defense and be like, hey, look, I learned on the internet that you guys are modifying the weather, and these appear to be directed energy weapons towards North Carolina, parts of Tennessee, and now Florida, and the entire panhandle. Can you guys knock it off in there? I mean, again, like, think about this rationally for a minute. And this is kind of bringing me further into our point, which I'm going to move here in the shade just for a minute so that this camera doesn't overheat. My point is that Americans don't know who their real enemy is for a reason. Americans don't know who they're at war with for a very specific reason. The enemy is faceless and invisible by design because it's how the elites constructed it. Remember the invisible V infecting allegedly everyone around the world over 2020 and the lockdowns? It was invisible. You couldn't even see it. It was microscopic, but it was something to fear. And it's the same thing now. Even with these reveals, which are positive, people, becoming awake, understanding the truth of what's really been going on around them, coming to terms with the fact that, yes, the mainstream media has lied about everything, that it's just controlled propaganda owned by the states. Even all these revelations, which are absolutely key to a great awakening, do nothing unless you actually know how to fight back, unless you actually have a real solution to combat what is, overthrowing America, causing hyperinflation, massive debt, what is demoralizing our citizenry, which is creating disillusionment. Part of the techniques of modern technological and psychological warfare. I mean, that's what it is. And I noticed that there was an interview done by Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson, which I didn't watch. I don't watch any of them because I already know what they're going to say. But I saw on my feed on X something along the lines that Elon Musk insinuates that Kamala Harris is just a puppet who's being played by the deep state as a marionette character. And I was thinking to myself, well, that's a really great analogy, Elon. I 100% agree with that. But you know what he's not telling you? It's the American people that are actually being played like a character or a marionette or a puppet. Not just the politician, not just the face of the system or the machine as what Elon Musk suggested, which is true. It's you. So what I think is really going on here is that we're being obfuscated from a much bigger event. I believe that a Stuxnet V, you know what that word is, that I can't use, is spreading all across America. I believe our systems and infrastructure have already been infected. I believe that not only was Bank of America hacked, and I would expect more banks to be hacked and more accounts to go to zero. I'm expecting bank runs, more hyperinflation. I'm expecting that this will infect our energy grid, possibly bring it down. I think that just like it has been proven, and they're not even reporting on it, that the largest waterworks company in the nation, one of them at least, was hacked on the same day. Everything was happening with the banks, like Bank of America and Verizon Wireless, and I believe this has just started. I believe that the president, or the sitting one, really doesn't do anything. Joe Biden has airstrikes ordered because that's what the Pentagon has instructed, and will be hitting Iran nuclear facilities very, very soon. I believe the rest of the world is positioned for World War III because it's what you're in. I believe this is all design. Again, I think it's the American people being played like a puppet, not the politicians. I'm not being played. You're not being played. We know the truth. But again, in this whole charade of lies and propaganda, the question that is most befitting is, what are you going to do about it? Like, again, do Americans even know who their real enemy is? Is it Democrat versus Republican or Republican versus Democrat? Or is that in and of itself actually just a bigger illusion? You'll see where I'm headed with this. Unless you have a real solution, unless you've actually come up with a real game plan, unless you're actually taking real physical action and you're not just tuned into entertainment, honestly, you're allowing the elites to play you like a marionette orchestra. You're allowing the cabal and the elites, the same people that emboldened and allowed P. Diddy to do god-awful things to children, not just women and men, but children. Just like Jeffrey Epstein, who went unabated for decades and decades with the full knowledge of the deep state and all these evil people that allowed that to take place. It's not like it's a new revelation that Harvey Weinstein was doing all those terrible, hideous things to women. No, that had been going on for years, for decades, for 40 years in Hollywood. Why now? Why now is it being exposed? Because they want your eye off the ball. They want your attention off what's really happening. And what is really happening? It's very easy to understand. They're stealing all your money. They're hyperinflating your currency. They're creating enormous debt because they plan never to pay it back. They're resetting the system into new technology. That new technology and the Great Reset, as they called it and dubbed it, the new normal, is exactly what I've been telling you that it is. It's blockchain tech, it's Bitcoin, it's all of this new AI that they've suddenly rolled out after the lockdowns. And they're creating a society where America is no longer free, no longer has liberty, and no longer enjoys the Constitution or Bill of Rights. And as BlackRock has also told you, they're creating a society where you will own nothing and be happy, and you'll rent everything from them. They're removing home ownership for you tuning in. They are declining and declaring a wage war against blue collar and white collar, workers. And they're transitioning us all into the new system, which is what we've been predicting on this channel for a very long time. But again, what are you going to do about it? Let's say you've confirmed it, guys. It's been revealed. These are weather orchestrated, directed energy weapons to take out Florida. Yeah, what's your game plan? Now, something else I think we might see, as we saw, of course, with other events, is they may prevent the residents from coming back to their properties after the destruction. I also noticed, so essentially declaring a martial LAW. I've also noticed that they're warning that the damages could be 10 times that of Helene, which is staggering to think about. I also noticed that most of the destruction and devastation in places like North Carolina isn't covered by insurance. Oh, how convenient. Another ploy by the deep state to steal more land, just like they've always done. Whether or not it was Native Americans or it was, simply coming over here and colonizing the westernized world. Again, am I telling you something that you don't already know? Do the American people literally trust their politicians and their these people in charge? It's mind-blowing if they do. And so my point is, and I want to hear from you, and this camera is overheating, so I'm not going to continue too much longer, is what do you think they're covering up while they have your attention focused on a new category 4 or 5 or upgraded or downgraded event, which I'm sure is engineered. I'm sure it's geoengineering. I mean, that's just my opinion, of course. They have lasers, they have all the technology, they've been doing it for years. China just cloud seeded its skies with 300 to 400 rockets. I mean, Elon Musk would know, he works for the deep state. That's where he gets all of his money. Like, again, wake up. But my question is, what are you going to do about it? Have you activated to protect you and your family? Are you getting rich? Are you creating cash flows? Do you have your money out of the bank before the bank runs and this V spreads and infects America in a much more worst case scenario, which I believe is what is going to happen next? I even answered a question earlier this morning. Someone said, well, Christopher, why should I invest in an island project if the banks are going down? That's why you should invest in an island project. That's the whole point of it, to get your money out of the banks during hyperinflation so you can make money in a safe, protected investment and vehicle for freedom, which is a liberty ecosystem that produces cash flow, some use, large capital gains, income, and in addition to that is being tokenized 1000x on a multi-billion-dollar blockchain, making you all freaking rich. Fighting the deep state and the criminal evil cabal. It's a real solution. And that's my point. Otherwise, all you're tuned into is entertainment right now. You're just feeding into memes. You're being played like a marionette. I say take your power back through real action. We've raised $33.5 million for those of you who don't know. We own 10 to 12 properties with no bank debt during these events. All of our property values are soaring and going up only. Why? Because that's the game plan for the destruction of America. That's what the criminal elites have planned. That's what they're doing. That's what I've been warning about. We're also... It's very hot today, so the camera is overheating. But my point is, we have a real solution. So again, instead of being played like a fiddle by the deep state, instead of having no solutions whatsoever, why don't you join us and empower yourself and click the link below at islandproject.com and fund immediately your first 30 units now. Do it with ACH, do it with wire transfer. We accept debit and credit card. You can call my dad at 808-442-2934. You can become a part of our Christian organization and team, connected directly with the general and my father and thousands of other amazing members from around the world seeking the same thing. Because again, the people that are the enemy, Americans don't even know who they are. They don't even know how to combat it. They think that, well, they're hoping their vote is going to save the country. And I'm telling you, you're in a lot of trouble if that's what you're doing. You're in a lot of trouble if that's your focus right now. Elon Musk even telling you it, that yeah, these presidents are played like fiddles. They are part of the machine, and it's no different, frankly, on either side of the political aisle. We've already seen where these people stand. And let me ask you a question too, and you know, I'm rooting for Trump. I want Trump to win. Most of his policies, I think, are great. There's some that I disagree with. You know what they are. But how come he's not talking about draining the swamp anymore? Have you noticed that? He doesn't talk about draining the swamp anymore. Why not? And I have a question for you. Maybe we can take a poll here in the audience. In your opinion, is the swamp bigger or smaller than it was after his first presidency? I think we know the answer. Again, is the swamp bigger or smaller now? How successful was he draining the swamp on the first go-around, even if he had good intentions? So my point is, whether or not it's a weather weapon, whether or not it's this V, which I do think is spreading all across our systems right now technologically, that's very real. The bank runs are here. They're coming. Banks will collapse. Your accounts are going to zero. You are living through hyperinflation. You are in World War III, along with Israel and 5 other countries on 7 fronts. All of that is real, but by the end of all of it, when it's all said and done, my question to you is, what have you done and how have you improved your life? And unless you have a solution, you're frankly on the wrong side of history. In my opinion, I want to encourage you to join us. I want to encourage you to actually fight back peacefully. I want to encourage you to get on the right side with the winning team. Put your money to work. Vote with your wallets. 1000X with us with our upcoming tokenization event. Come visit these multi-million-dollar properties and hang out. See what you own. Contact my father and roll over your 401ks and your retirement accounts. Become part of our team. Enjoy all the capital gains, all the income of the assets that BlackRock doesn't want you to own. Fight back using the system against them. That's what we've actually built, and that's what we're doing. And that's why it's a digital Noah's Ark, and it's been built by God. So I love you all. This phone will die probably again. Please leave a comment or question in the box below. I'll do more videos like these, and I'll see if I can somehow cool my camera down. And by the way, it's interesting too. You know, so many people have moved to Arizona. Prices have skyrocketed. Arizona's a cool place, but man, it must be terrible on the coastlines because I have no idea why people would want to live here. You can only live in Arizona 5 months out of the year. It is October and it's 110 degrees out right now. In October, why would you move here and pay $2 million unless like California has been absolutely trashed, which it has? That's my point too. So buy in the best locations along with us. Do it in Maui, do it in Oahu, do it in Waikiki, do it in Park City, Utah. Do it internationalized where there's actually hope for the future. The rest of the world isn't focused on the US election. They've moved on. So invest with us in Bali and Thailand and places like Tokyo, Singapore. Do it there. Get outside of the system while you still can before it ends. Love you all. Jesus Christ is King. And hopefully this came in clearly as the camera did go out on the first run. God bless. I'm about 19 minutes in. I hope you have a beautiful day, and my prayers be with everybody in the affected path of Hurricane Milton, the millions of evacuations, and also what I believe the cyber event that's happening now, which isn't even being reported by the mainstream media. That's my point. The biggest story isn't even being reported. That's why they're focusing all their attention on these hurricanes, which probably been put there for a reason. So what are you doing about it? Do you have a solution? That's my point. We're the solution. Islandproject.com right there is the solution. $33.5 million, no bank debt, best real estate ownership in the world, diversified, decentralized, and tokenized for the future of money. Get in. Love you. Links below and up here.